Hi everyone. I hope you're doing well. So you guys are gonna have to help me out here. I'm not sure what to think here. You know, I found a guy on YouTube, Jay Christina, and I don't know how I got it. I guess because I'm a Starlink guy, then he seems to be doing a lot of videos about Starlink, and I've got this uneasy feeling about him. I'm not sure why. Let me tell you how it happened. So. Um, the first time I saw him was uh, some of his Starlink stuff. I didn't watch very much because mine's working fine. I'm happy with it. It's going good, and he's he's got a lot of troubleshooting videos. I'm kind of thinking, what kind of troubleshooting can anyone have? So I watched this video called "Starlink Connection Issues is fixed" with three exclamation points. That's the thumbnail, and the video is called "Here's how I fix my Starlink internet outage problems." So he's having outage problems with Starlink, and he offers that a fix. I watched that video, and he didn't fix anything. He bought another service from another company and put a dual WAN router in. So I kind of thought, well, if my car breaks down, instead of fixing it, I just buy another car. That's the mentality of what he's saying here. So, and I kind of, I don't know, when he sits there with his cup of tea and he's doing his marketing, it suddenly occurred to me, he mentioned Starlink to get clicks, not to offer anything. And and there's some other, and so that was it. And I thought, okay. And then the next time I saw him, he's alleging that Starlink cables are causing fires. The first thing I did was I searched the internet. I couldn't find anyone said they experienced a fire with their Starlink cable. But I look at his video here. The thumbnail says Starlink: How to Prevent Cable Meltdown, and there's a picture of the cable, which looks like it has flames superimposed onto the end of it, or photoshopped onto the end. So he's very disingenuous because there's no fires anywhere here, and I didn't bother watching the video because I don't have a cable that's on fire, and apparently neither does anyone else. So I get suspicious about this guy, and I don't know what, something's rubbing me the wrong way. And then today, it, I'm watching another video, and down in the right column of recommended videos, I see another one from him. The thumbnail says, "How to Beat Starlink's Data Cap Update," and the title of the video is "Update: How to Beat SpaceX Starlink Data Cap." Well, I watched that because my first reaction before I watched it, that sounds a bit illegal. If Starlink puts a data cap on that, that's the way it is, buddy, and you have to accept that. You can't cheat your way around it, or if you can, it's unlawful more than likely. So anyway, so I watched the video. He offers no advice on how to cheat them about anything. He offers advice on how to throttle your users at home, just like Starlink is going to do to you system wide. And he's complaining about it, and he claims he's using 2 terabytes a month. And he doesn't want to pay more than the 1 terabyte is it's allegedly going to be the cap. He doesn't want to pay more. Well, this is the guy with a second internet connection. How much data does this guy need? He's the kind of guy that ruins it for everybody else because he's hogging everything for himself, and always finding ways to screw the rest of us. We're all buffering because he's uploading all his Starlink YouTube videos trying to get clicks to pay his rent. That's really what's going on here. So anyway, well, I look at some other thoughts here. Google, Microsoft attack OpenAI, ChatGPT. Everybody and their brother's doing a video on that because I'm sure it gets lots of clickbait. If you want to, you either want to be a tech support guy or you want to be a snake oil salesman. You got to decide what you want to do because right now I think you're a snake oil salesman, and your whole premise is to get clicks, to get paid, not to help people out, because so far your help has been not helpful. No average person who owns a Starlink service right now is going to buy a managed switch and use quality of service settings and successfully set it up to control all their users without lots and lots of tech support. So you shouldn't be recommending that to people. That just is going to ring the ISP's help phone off the hook, and they're not going to want to help them Because quality of service is for VoIP calls and things that are worthy of that kind of packet control, not filtering your user's internet connection. Try using a firewall product to do that job, like Sophos XD firewall, something like that you can limit it at the firewall, not at the network switch. Anyway, and even that's not easy to do either. You really need to know what you're doing to do that successfully. So, anyone else get weird feelings for this guy? I'm not sure. You know, he dresses all nice and he's combed back hair. I mean, I think he really thinks the shit doesn't stink. That's what I really think. And he's big about himself, and not thinking about anybody else except how can I get him to click on my title so I can get paid to sell my tea. That's what I'm thinking right now. Put some comments down below, guys. Thanks a lot. So before we get started, I want to apologize for how mean I'm going to be, because I'm getting a lot of bad support from many companies, and I don't think anyone who's not qualified should be giving support. If you don't work for the company or have extensive access to their knowledge base and data and hands-on experience, you shouldn't be supporting anyone. So this J Christina on YouTube, we're gonna criticize his Starlink melting cable or cables on fire video, which is what the thumbnail looks like, and see what's going on here. Because again, before saying this, I searched the internet. There's no recall. There's no house fires. The fire marshal is not concerned about it. You know, whatever he's talking about is a big lighter mentality fire, not and I don't think there's any flames involved at all. It's just photoshopped onto his thumbnail for clickbait purposes. So let's listen to this guy, and I'll stop him and make comments as we go along. This is about a 10-minute video, so here we go.
Starlink cables for melting.
I know my nose always itch when I do this.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of misty morning and focus combination. You know, I love the bergamot, guys. You know, I love it. Hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a tech day. This is like a PSA
Hi, Stargate
day,
users!
I would say a public service announcement for all of you in the cold environments that are using SpaceX Starlink's dishes out there.
Public service announcement. Is it me, or should only government be giving those kind of things, or claiming to have? I don't know about that, but it worries me. It bothers me. Let's continue.
That are getting snow and sleet and all kinds of ice accumulation on them. Well, cables are melting, and I want to get into it a little bit. I want to give you something that you can do to prevent it.
Cables are melting. I don't see any evidence of this anywhere on the internet, and he's not showing a melted cable. So I'm not buying that so far. And I am a Starlink dish user.
I want to give you the backstory on what is going on here. I was reading a bunch of Reddit articles, and people were going back and forth.
I hear Reddit's the place to go these days.
Why are these cables failing? What is going on? These people in the freezing cold are...
So the cable's failing now, not melting. The terminology just changed. A failing cable is a lot different from one that is catching fire.
Are basically ending up with these messages, these error messages that say Starlink is disconnected. And when they reach out and contact Starlink, they end up saying, hey, you know what, we're going to send you out another set of cables. So SpaceX Starlink knows what's going on. And I'm going to get into that in just a second. But before I do, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, why the hell not?
And I was going to say he sells ebooks, but apparently he gives them away. I'm not sure what the deal is there. I'm sure if we look into it, I probably won't like what's going on there either.
Check them out. They're free. Go over to jchristina.com/books. Once again, jchristina.com starlink.com/books. Also, if you enjoyed this content even in the least, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. And if you are subscribed, click on this little button over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. And if you just want to say thank you for my hard work, YouTube has given us a little button down there that says thank you. You can click
See you
on
later,
that.
Sparky.
Throw us a couple of dollars, that would be fantastic. But even better, just become a member of the channel.
And now he's begging for more money, and we're still waiting for the show to start on how these cables are catching fire. Okay, so we're 2 minutes into the video.
And that would be awesome. Finally, if you're looking for a VPN,
Oh no, he hasn't finished selling
the
stuff.
nice folks over there at PureVPN.
Okay, so we see what his motivation is. He's selling shit.
80% off. Go check that out if you are a Starlink user with this.
Here's one that really gets me going. I'm a Starlink user. There is no way to put a server on a Starlink network and access it from the internet. It cannot be done. Starlink uses carrier grade NAT, which means they have a special set of IP addresses that are used internally behind their equipment, and you're given a fake public IP which is shared amongst many other Starlink users, and there's only outbound VPN can be done from Starlink, and it works fine. You don't need anything to do it. You just use a VPN dialer. Windows default works just fine. I use them all the time, every single day, and it works great. Inbound VPN cannot be done because it cannot navigate from the fake IP address to the hidden internal IP address. I believe it starts in the first digits are 100 or 104, something like that. And anyway, it's a special set of IP addresses assigned to carriers to make public IP addresses on IPv4 go further. So there's only one way to get into an inbound server or inbound any device on a Starlink service, and that's to use a third-party server outside on the public network that has an agent or a connection from the inside, and then you tunnel through that connection. A very weird way. So this port forwarding stuff, I don't know what this PureVPN is, but it's like using TeamViewer. You ever use TeamViewer? You put an agent on your computer, it connects to the TeamViewer server, then you remote into the TeamViewer server, and then you can see your computer. That's the only way it works, and that's using a third-party application and a third-party server, and you better make sure that you trust them. Remember, TeamViewer has been hacked, and that's why I don't recommend it. That's why I stopped using it many years ago. Anytime you need third-party support for anything that involves people accessing your private stuff, be very careful. Anyway, just wanted to say that. Don't believe in PureVPN for that reason, because you can't do inbound VPN on Starlink. You can do the TeamViewer method only. Okay, let's continue.
This link, not only can you get this amazing discount, but you can also get a static IP address and port forwarding. Many folks have been asking me over the last couple of weeks, how do I access my security cameras when I'm out and about? Or if, let's say, if I'm at a client location and I want to access a server at my office, how can I do that? The best way is to have a static IP address and, of course, port forward. Well, with PureVPN, you can do that. It only costs a few dollars per month, basically.
Oh, that reminds me. You can get a static IP address from Starlink. It's the business account. It's $500 a month, but it does everything properly. You can publish a web server. You can have remote access VPN, and not have to pay a monthly fee or any kind of crap like that on top of that. And then you get a whole lot more bandwidth too. But his way, it's snake oil. I'm sure it has lots of problems. Remember, TeamViewer did that for many years. They got hacked. People's machines were compromised. It's not a good idea to allow any company to have access to your server for any reason, or your workstations.
The cost of a latte. You can't beat that. So anyways, down below in the...
It's tough to stop him once he starts talking. So I just want to give a public service announcement here. That's what I mean about remote VPN on carrier grade NAT. Technically it cannot be done. without jumping through a bunch of hoops and reducing security. So beware of that. Let's continue.
Comment area, the pinned comment, as well as the description. I will have a link. Go check that out. Anyways, let's get into this. Now, like I said,
Yes.
a lot of folks
Where's
are
the
getting
fire?
this Starlink disconnected error message.
Not
and
me.
Now they
Mine's
no
working
longer
great.
have internet connection at all. Then they contact Starlink and let them know that there's a problem and this is the error message. And Starlink does their research and checks and says, hey, no problem. We're going to send you over another batch of cables. Well, why is this happening? Well, many folks over on Reddit have
Something that concerns me there. Send you another batch of cables. If he installed one, he would know there's only one cable, and it goes from the dish to the modem / router, and then there's a power supply and cable for that. There's not a batch of cables, so I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe if you've got the square dish and you've got the LAN option module, then okay, then there's two cables. But the LAN option module doesn't break or make the internet. So there's only one cable that will bring the internet from the dish to the modem. So I don't know what he's
I've
talking
been
about.
trying to pinpoint this for quite some time to figure out why are these cables failing? Why is SpaceX Starlink just simply sending out cables like they know that there's a problem? And there is a problem. So after some investigation, I think I've come up with a reason behind the failure, along with a few methods that you can prevent it from happening to you. You don't want your cables to fry and then later on you're out for a week or two or who knows how long until SpaceX Starlink gets you out another set, right? So
It sounds like a lot of scaremongering, doesn't it? I gotta run that back a bit because I can't remember. I can't quite tell whether he said me or they when he's talking about what someone was thinking. So just gonna run it back a bit.
it from happening to you. You don't want your cables to fry. And
I didn't go
later
far
on
enough.
you're
I'm not gonna
out
bother
for
trying.
a week or two or who knows how long until SpaceX Starlink gets you out another set, right? So I think this all stems from the heater auto mode. The unit comes set to auto. What does this mean? Well, basically the dish senses the temperature, the air temperature, and once it gets to a undisclosed amount, whatever that figure is, maybe below freezing, maybe freezing, who knows, but what it
So he doesn't have any technical knowledge on what the actual statistics are for the device. So he's just guessing.
does is it will turn on its built-in heater.
And how does he know
and then
that?
heat up the face of the dish. So if there's any ice accumulation or snow or whatnot, it will melt it off, and now it will have a perfect signal again because you don't have that blockage. Very simple, and a lot of folks over on Reddit have said this thing works, and I actually see
It does work.
in slow motion. I'm like looking at this, I'm like, wow, this thing
Slow
actually
motion.
works. It was snowing, and then all of a sudden you can see this thing kick in, and it slowly just started melting the snow off of the face of the dish, or as I call him, Mr. Bevel. I'm in South Florida, so I don't have any snow, so I don't have this problem.
Okay.
But if you are in the freezing,
So how did you witness this working if you're in South Florida? Can you answer that question for me, please? And I'm going to tell you my experience with mine is you don't see anything going on. The only thing you know that it's working is because the internet never goes down, and there's icicles that are hanging off the low side of the dish. I got the square one, so along the low edge of the dish, there's icicles hanging out because as soon as that snow turns to water, it runs down to the bottom and runs off of the heated part onto the cold frame, and then it refreezes. But I never have to snap them off. They seem to fall off by themselves. I don't know how, why, or what, but it's maintenance free. And I don't live in South Florida. I live somewhere very cold for 6 months of the year.
cold, you could have this problem. So you want to take heed here. Once again, this is a PSA. So once again, this
No, he's
actually
not
does
PSA.
work just as described, as it should. But the problem is it sounds good, but it's not good in all circumstances. And the reason being, I believe that it has to do with the amount of time that this heater is left on. What I mean by that is if you are in a location that is freezing cold for hours, for days maybe for a week, what ends up happening is the heater in the unit
Sorry, I had an
stays on
interruption.
all the time because that threshold or that temperature is met. Maybe freezing, like I said, or below freezing or whatever it is. so the heater is on continuously. Now, some people would
He
immediately
doesn't
say,
know
well,
that.
maybe that heater is
Show me
just
the manual that
melting the
says that.
internals of the unit. The modem is going bad, or circuitry or whatnot. Well, that's obviously disproved because we see that SpaceX Starlink is just simply sending out cables, and now all of a sudden it works. So obviously it's a cable issue, right? Common sense, right? Common sense is no longer common, is it, guys? Anyways, so what I think is happening here is the
What
bolts
he
are
thinks is
going up, and
happening.
we know that to be the case because normally Starlink runs at about
And they
40
know that
volts
needs to
or
be.
right around there, 50 volts, and then once
Hang
it
on,
turns,
I gotta run that back because that's such bullshit.
guys. Anyways, so what I think is happening here
What
is
he
the
thinks is
volts are going up, and we know that
He
to be
thinks the
case,
volts
'cause
are going up.
normally Starlink runs at about 40 volts.
Did you put a test probe on that? Did you measure that at the AC adapter? How do you know that? Please provide evidence of that. You just can't make claims like that without backing them up with you know. Do you have a document from Starlink with specifications on it to say that? How do you know any of this shit?
So right around there, 50 volts. And then once it turns on the heater, it goes up to about 150 plus volts. We know that. But also the amperage goes up. And amperage is what?
Okay, a quick lesson on electrical fundamentals. When the voltage goes up, the amperage goes down, and that's I believe it's Ohm's law. I'd have to get out the textbooks to remind you, but I want to sidebar a story. Now, we live in a place where we have animals that live outdoors, 24/7. Their water jugs freeze, and where they sleep is cold. So we use heaters to keep things from freezing, and no water bowls have boiled dry. No mangers have been set ablaze. Nothing like that goes on. And you know when we plant seedlings in the greenhouse for planting in the fields in the summer, we use heat mats to propagate the seeds. These things are 20 watts each. They're 10 by 20 in size, and they're warm to the touch. And if snow falls on them, it melts, and they're not catching fire, and nothing's going wrong with the cables on them. So this kind of technology has been around for a long time. This is nothing new with melting snow. You know, snow melts at 33 degrees. That's all you got to bring the temperature up to. You don't have to have. We're not talking like heaters in your house where you're warming your toes on it and you're sitting in your chair, or baseboard heaters. Those are high wattage, high volume appliances. A heater in a Starlink dish is very small. Look at the size of the adapter on it. What's the amperage of that thing? The dish can't use more than that thing can provide. It can't. Whenever there's a transformer in that thing, and the voltage is controlled, and the amperage is already carved in stone by the way it's made. The voltage can't go up or down. Uh, you know, this all sounds like a crock to me. Let's listen more.
Kills these cables. As the volts go higher and the amperage goes higher, what ends up happening is these cables will fry.
What evidence do you have of
Why
that?
is that?
Show me the details.
The cables weren't made to withstand high amperage for extended periods of time.
What kind of amperage you talking about? What's high?
So the question, of course, is what can be done to prevent the SpaceX Starlink cables from frying due to excessive amperage when there is excessive freezing cold weather for extended periods of time? What can be done?
What evidence do you have of them frying and being left on all the time? I've searched the internet. I see nothing. Only you say this.
Well, I think SpaceX can do two things themselves.
Some
And I'll
advice.
get into something that we can do. But SpaceX can do one of two things. Number one, they can start shipping out cables that are heavier gauge. What does this mean? A thicker damn cable, right? A cable that can withstand higher amp.
You know, Elon and the gang put a electric car into space. They put low orbiting satellites everywhere in the world. They got rockets that land and get reused, I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that they know how to make a cable, and there's nothing wrong with the cable at all.
Amp loads for extended period of time. That would be one thing that would definitely fix the issue. Also, the programmers could do something here that could possibly fix the issue or at least mitigate it. And that would simply be by duty cycling, let's say, that heater. So when the heater is set to auto, as it is right from the factory, what the programmers can do is set a specific cycle so that it's maybe on for 20 minutes and then off for 20.
Being someone who lives in South Florida, he doesn't realize that's not going to work. As soon as it shuts off, it will freeze within minutes if it's cold enough. So that's dumb. My water bowl and bed heaters for the animals do not do that. They stay on around the clock all winter long, always plugged into current. And the worst thing I've ever seen happen is styrofoam melts a bit, and that's only because it happened to get in there. Anyway, so let's continue.
Minutes, or on for an hour and then off for 10 minutes, or some type of duty cycle to limit the amount of continuous high amp load that's going through.
What evidence do you have of this high amp load? Show me the evidence. Where's it getting the load from? Certainly not the power supply.
What can you do right now?
Nothing.
I personally would. If I was in a freezing cold environment, I would set my unit to off. So that if you
Bye internet.
you'd set your heater to off. And then, if you end up with any type of freezing conditions, or if you see snow or ice on your dish, you turn it to on or auto. It will immediately come on. And once it is...
Again, South Florida must be nice. So, yeah, we tried that with the animals too to try to save electricity, but it can't when you let something cool down, it takes a lot longer to come back up to temperature rather than just heating it constantly at a low pace all the time. So that's bad advice. Don't listen to it.
Melted, I would turn it back off. And then you be the duty cycler in comparison to the programmers, which should be creating this anyways.
You'll be busy with the app than using the internet.
So, is it a pain in the ass? Yes, it is. But
Yeah,
we do
bad
know
advice.
that the current gauge cables
Not a public
that are
service
being
announcement.
shipped cannot support these high amp loads for
Prove
extended
to me
periods of
that they're
time.
high.
They melt.
Show me the
period.
documentation
That's
from
it. The cable
Starlink.
will melt. And if you don't want to be out of service, have no internet or your Starlink down for days or possibly weeks while you wait for SpaceX to send you over new cables, this might be a sacrifice that you need to make until SpaceX Starlink makes the correction themselves. Once again, either through programming or by sending out a thicker, heavier gauge cable that will support the load, the amp load that is...
I can also tell he didn't install the Starlink either. Isn't the cable big enough now? The ends on it are massive. How big a hole do you have to drill in your house to get a Starlink cable through it? It's way too large, let alone him promoting a larger one. And do you know what the cost of copper is? Do you know how much that cable's going to cost if you have a high gauge cable? My God, he's too busy sitting at his chair being an armchair critic. I don't think he's got any hands-on experience at all on this.
It's required to keep that heater on for an extended period of time. That's mine. Anyways, if you want more Starlink coverage, I have an entire playlist for you.
And it's probably filled with all the same crap that he just gave us today.
Tips, tricks,
because I don't think he's ever installed it or done anything with it. And he's just relying on other people putting stuff on the internet, reads it, and then he becomes an expert.
If you found it entertaining or maybe informational, please throw this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, family, colleagues, Reddit, Facebook, wherever.
Now the marketing's starting up again.
Also, if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so, and then click this little button over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you'll be notified of it immediately.
And I do not subscribe to him. So beware of snake oil salesmen selling their wares. As I say, this guy rubs me the wrong way, and it gets worse every time I view a video. And I've seen that one before, and I see it again now. And every time I listen to it, I see more things. You know, show me facts. Show me the lab where you tested all this stuff. show me the documentation of what you say that I know it's true, because um, the thing about amperage and voltage, that Ohm's law says it works differently than that. So I don't believe anything you're saying based on that. And I own one, and it works fine. And I like the part, but cycling it on and off yourself, you're going to be awfully busy, and you're going to find it's going to be you're going to have to leave it turned on all the time. When the snow is falling at a couple centimeters an hour, you know, cycling it off, you'll be done for a day, because it will pile up and then become a sheet of ice with a space underneath it where it started to melt, and you'll have no internet for weeks until the whole thing slides off and hits the windshield of the car in your driveway. Anyway, I don't know if his tea's any good. I've never drank that version. I don't think I want to read his books if they're anything like the advice he's given us. And you know, I'm having so much fun. I'd like to do the one about trying to cheat Starlink and get around their cap by cheating your users and restricting their access to the internet so you can have more for yourself. You know, that was great. I like that one. Anyway,
And finally, hit
oops.
Head over to my website, jchristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.
Oh, magically disappears. Okay, guys. I'm a bit spent, and it was a 30-minute video, so I'm gonna cut off there, and maybe I'll do another one on his beating Starlink's data cap one, or maybe the one where he solves connection problems by buying another service. That's a classic, right? And that's why he bothers me. His titles indicate something very different than what he says in his videos. Pardon me. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.